The break is presented by Browning Trail Cameras, in association with Banks Outdoors and Browning. Closed captioning is brought to you by Alps Outdoors. The break is also brought to you by Indian Creek Shooting Systems, Browning Ammunition, HHA Sports, and Real Deal G2 Seeds. This week on The Break.
Now, a friend of mine said he saw a really good 10-point about a mile south of our farm. This buck came from the south. Is this him? Dad and Kevin are going to have to make the call whether or not they want to take this buck.
My son was with me. He made the call, said shoot it.
Well, I am at a loss for where I want to hunt this afternoon. I've been guessing wrong all year, but hopefully, for once, I can catch up to this deer. I hate to say it, but it almost feels like it's my destiny that I'm going to kill that buck. The 2020 deer season is off to an up and down and up start for me and my family on the home farm in Missouri. My youngest son, Jack, got the party started with a buck in his first year deer hunting.
Yes, it is. It's right there. I'm very proud. Thanks, Dad.
Then the downer. I had an opportunity with one of our 2 target bucks, a big-bodied 9-point. I had my single pin HHA sight set to the wrong yardage and made a bad shot. Totally my fault and due to lack of focus and preparation. Fortunately, he survived and was actually back in the same food plot later that night. About a week later, my brother Kevin connected on him during the opening day of Missouri's rifle season.
All right. Well, this is the buck that Derek stuck earlier this week, and he got him on trail camera after he shot, and he was still alive. He worked up behind me this morning and offered a tight shot through some limbs and was able to put him down. He didn't go, I don't know, 30, 40 yards and he's down. So, opening morning. Man, he's a heavy 9-pointer. I'm proud to put him down. He's a good buck. Great buck for out here.
That was a huge relief for me. Making a bad shot and wounding that buck was tearing me up inside. I couldn't be more happier for Kevin for not only killing a nice buck on our parents' farm, but for cleaning up my mistake and writing a happy ending to the story of this buck. Our #1 hit lister is still out there and I really want my dad to kill this buck. I ended up getting called to work and would miss the next 2 days of gun season. Kevin is tagged out, so he's going to film for Dad. Oh yeah, do you remember in part 1 when I gave credit to Kevin for at least getting the audio when he didn't get the video of his kill? If you were looking for the deer in the woods, yeah, he wasn't there. Kevin said the buck came out of nowhere and he didn't have time to get the camera on him. But he did get the audio, so that's good. But hey, you can see the video of this hunt, and maybe the next hunt Kevin films, he'll get both the audio and the video. So we'll just roll some music to keep you entertained. You know I love you, brother. I'm just messing with you. But for real, you had one job. So a bug just come out of nowhere, in one sense, literally. Both Dad and Kevin have seen every buck that I got on my Browning trail cameras. This buck isn't one of them because I don't have a single picture of him. Now, a friend of mine said he saw a really good 10-point about a mile south of our farm. This buck came from the south. Is this him? Dad and Kevin are going to have to make the call whether or not they want to take this buck.
For as long as I can remember, the Browning name has meant something to people in the outdoors. So when I went looking for a trail camera that I could depend on, there was only one name that came to mind: Browning trail cameras. So if you're looking for a trail camera that's easy to use, is unbelievably reliable, and takes amazing pictures and videos, there's only one brand that I trust: Browning trail cameras.
This segment is brought to you by Hunter's Specialties.
It's the third morning of the 2020 Missouri rifle season and my dad has a buck in front of him. I have exactly 0 pictures of this buck. My brother is running the video for my dad and they are trying to decide whether or not to shoot this buck. Notice I said my brother is running the video because remember, there's no audio because he forgot to turn his mic on. They decided to shoot.
Well, here's a little 10-pointer. Looked a lot bigger earlier in the morning. He come up pretty quick from behind us, and my son was with me. He made the call, said shoot it.
I was out of town with work. I got a call from Dad and Kevin on speakerphone saying they killed a 10-point. I immediately thought it was our #1 hit lister because I knew he had at least one sticker and probably had another for 10 points. They said it wasn't him, so I thought it was that big 10-point that my buddy saw about a mile from the farm. They said, no, he's not that big. And then Kevin and Dad went back and forth about who made the call to shoot this buck because they figured I would be mad about shooting a young buck.
I know my older son Derek say you should have left him, but he's down there, it is.
All I do is run trail cameras and make suggestions that if you want to kill big deer, here are the bucks you need to let walk and here are the bucks we need to hunt.
I tell him, hell, it was early, it was dark, couldn't tell. You recording on here?
Dad, the reality is, it's your farm. You kill whatever you want. But since you did kill, I'm going after our #1 hit lister. Before we go any further, I want to give you a little history on this buck because I've got a lot of history with him. He's been on the farm for at least the last 4 years. I got a couple pictures of him in 2017 as a heavy racked 8-point when I think he was 2.5 years old. In 2018, his rack grew into a 10-point frame. He was all over the farm that season and daylighted a lot. So much so that I didn't hunt the farm because I didn't want to be tempted into shooting him. He lost a point in 2019, growing back as a 9-point, but his frame got bigger. At 4.5 years old, he was once again all over the farm. I told my dad he needed to start hunting him. We had another mature buck on the farm that year and my dad ended up killing him. I wanted to give this buck another year, so I didn't hunt him and rolled the dice that he would make it through the rest of deer season and into next year. That almost didn't pay off. I got a picture of him on New Year's Eve crossing the fence to our neighbors with 15 more days of bow season left. I didn't get another picture of him for the rest of bow season. Luckily, he showed up in the gate plot after the close of deer season. I did notice he was limping and come to find out someone hunting on the neighbor shot him in the shoulder. But he made it through the season and now he just has to make it through the winter. I was a little concerned about his injury, if it would hurt him as far as surviving the winter, or if it would hinder his antler growth if he did make it. Fortunately, the winter wasn't that bad and we had plenty of nutrition in our food plots. I also made sure there was plenty of mineral available as we're getting into spring. He hit the mineral hard and made a full recovery from being hit in the shoulder. He did lose a point again, back down to an 8-point frame and added a couple of stickers. But his frame grew a lot from the prior year. He ruled the farm as a 5.5-year-old and I got hundreds of pictures of him. I knew this year would be our best chance at killing him. So as we're into the 2020 bow season, I really wanted my dad to kill him, and I put him in the spots that this buck was most frequent. I wouldn't say that I hunted him in general. I was really more focused on that 9-point that I ended up wounding, which my brother killed later on. But I wasn't going to pass this buck if I got a chance, and I had some close calls. I was late getting to the stand one afternoon, and he was there about 30 minutes before I got there. And I bumped him off the strip plot one morning. But it's gun season now, and since everyone is tagged out, I got the entire farm to myself. It's me and this buck, mano a mano.
It is November 17th, day 4 of Missouri's rifle season, and I am still at it. My dad and my brother both tagged out, so I pretty much got the run of the farm to myself. Our number 1 shooter, as far as I know, he's still alive. He's at least not accounted for. I haven't got a picture of him in roughly a week, give or take. I'm hoping I can get some eyes on him today. I'm sitting in a different spot today. In this spot, I can really see the neighbor's wheat field over here. So I can glass it and hopefully get some eyes on him. I mean, for all that we know, that buck could be 500 yards from here, locked down with a doe. We don't know.
From western peaks to eastern woods, Browning Ovix is designed to provide optimal concealment at every distance. Browning Ovix is a versatile, multi-seasonal camouflage pattern that adapts to a wide variety of terrain types to break up your outline. From guns to technical apparel, Browning offers a complete system of gear with Ovix to maximize concealment.
This segment is brought to you by HHA Sports.
Well, I am at a loss for where I want to hunt this afternoon. I can hunt the south end, still got that southeast wind. I can hunt the south end where I hunted this morning, but there was road construction on the interstate, only about 200 yards from where I was sitting. And they were cutting guardrails or metal or something, so it was loud as can be. The most recent picture I got of that big 8 was here on the north end in the gate plot, or I'm sorry, the strip plot on the west end of it here. That was Friday the 13th. He was there right in front of the camera at 4 in the morning roughly, and you see me walking by about 5:20 headed to the stand. I'm pretty sure that was the morning I jumped some deer going in, and it was probably him. Who knows? But that's the last picture that I've got of him. The plan was I was going to hunt the north end of the property, but the wind is still kicking hard east, and you know, it's just not good. If it was straight south, I could make it work, and it's supposed to turn south, but I don't know when. Maybe not. You know, these weather apps are never accurate, so if it never turns, then I'm in trouble. So I think my only safe play is to head into the middle of the woods. I got a Banks Stump 2 up there, so it's fine for gun hunting. It's on top of the ridge, and I can see a pretty good ways. You know, and I can keep my scent contained inside there, so I think that's going to be the play. I hope. I've been guessing wrong all year, but hopefully, for once, I can catch up to this deer. I'm going to head up there. I am set up and ready here in this Banks Stump 2 blind, which is perfect for gun hunting. I'm up here in the middle of the woods on top of this ridge, and I'm actually shocked how far I can see. I was up here with Jack. This is where he killed his buck just a couple weeks ago, and there were a ton of leaves on the trees still. A lot of directions you couldn't see very far at all, but now I can, and there's a few places that I could have up to a 200-yard shot inside the woods, so that's pretty good. You know, to be honest, I would still rather be on the north end of the farm, but the wind is just not right for that. And the reason I want to be on the north end is where I've gotten most of the pictures of our number 1 shooter out here, that big 8. The last picture I got of him was on the north end in the strip plot at about 4 in the morning, and then you see me walking in there at 5:20. But he still hasn't daylighted in quite some time. So I'm hoping it's just because we haven't been in the middle of the woods. Maybe he's hanging out in here, and I'll get a crack at him this afternoon. I hope that's the case, man. That dude is driving me crazy. I got a lot of history with him. I've got a ton of pictures. I don't think I've had any personal encounters with him while hunting, but you know, I know him. He doesn't know me really yet because he's never seen me. He may know me from bumping him walking in once or twice, who knows, but I hope to introduce myself this afternoon. You know, I hate to say it, but it almost feels like it's my destiny that I'm gonna kill that buck. Again, I hate to say it because when I say that, then the only thing left is disappointment when I probably don't kill him, but I don't know. Wounding that buck, which is the first buck I ever wounded, luckily my brother killed him, so that took some of the sting off of it. And, you know, I was kind of wanting my dad to kill that big frame buck, but he ended up shooting a different buck, so maybe that just opens the door for me to kill this thing. I really hope so. He's a great buck, and, you know, if I don't get him, I hope one of my boys get him, or, you know, who knows. Dad may get him with a bow later on, his crossbow, but we'll see. I just hope he shows up this afternoon and I do get a crack at him. That would be a good fitting end to that buck here on the home farm for me.
No sighting of the big boy that afternoon. I did have some does come in right at last light, so I had hopes he would be close behind. No such luck. I'm back in the same blind the next morning since weather conditions are the same. The one thing about that spot, deer can come from any direction, so your head has to be on a swivel. Luckily, I happen to be looking in the right place at the right time and catch movement in front of me. I have to act fast.
Bap! Bap! Introducing the Wild Water System from Banks Outdoors. The ground level trough makes it safe for all animals to get a drink and helps to reduce the mud where the EHD midge lives. And when you put the top on the tank, significantly reduces evaporation. And don't forget electrolytes and probiotics. Keep your herd happy, healthy, and hydrated. It's the complete wild water system from Banks Outdoors.
This segment is brought to you by Avian X. Real Deal G2 Seeds. And these fine sponsors.
I've got a buck coming in fast and a small window to stop him.
Bap! Bap!
I think I shot that 8-pointer. It happened so dang fast. I'm sitting in this Banks blind, same place I hunted yesterday, and up in the middle of the woods. And you've got to look 360 because you never know where they're going to come. And luckily, I just happened to be looking where that buck was. Luckily, I already had the 2 windows open, threw the gun up, and was yelling at him to get him to stop right on the edge of that shooting lane up there. And I shot. I believe it was a hit. I didn't see him go down, so I'm giving him some time, and then I'm going to try to sneak up the top of this ridge and just glass down the hill, and hopefully he's laying there.
We got Dad and Drew in there. Drew's got his knee problem, so they're going to drive up there. They'll see him before we do, so I'll get his reaction. But yeah, I was getting down. I was just going to head into the house and give it a few hours because there's a couple scenarios. If he's laying there dead, great. He'll be there in 3 hours. If I liver hit him, because I wasn't sure where I hit him, I need to give him a few hours to bleed out. So anyways, I got down, and then when I got down, some does jumped over that hill and ran down to where he was, so I figured they're gonna bust him up anyway, so I'm gonna get down here and start glassing. So I just snuck down real easy and just glassed the side of that other ridge, and then got to that point on the top of that ridge and glassed, and he's laying maybe 50, 60 yards from where I shot him. And pretty much it looks like he probably just slid down the hill, but he's a good one. I think he's that big 8 out here. We're about to find out. Yes, sir, that is our boy. Oh, man. All right, well, here is, we just call him the big 8-point. Mainframe 8-point. He's got a couple stickers here, but got a lot of history with this guy. Browning trail cam pics of him for at least 3 years, and I believe 4 years. So we're figuring he's probably a 5-year-old deer. He is a great deer. He was our #1 shooter this year. We had 2 of them out here. Kevin killed the big 9-pointer, and this was the other big shooter out here. And man, he's been a ghost for quite a while now. I got the last picture of him on Friday the 13th, prior to our gun opener, and I was bow hunting that morning. He showed up in front of the Browning trail cameras at 4 in the morning, and I walked by at 5:20. So he's always been ahead of us, a step ahead of us this whole season. And Dad was hunting him last year, and he was always a step ahead of us. But this morning it worked out, and got another great deer on the ground here at the home farm.
You might think it's over, but it's not. Kevin's son James is after his first buck. Now, the last 2 hunts that Kevin filmed, he got the audio but not the video of his hunt. He got the video but not the audio of Dad's hunt. I wonder if he'll get both the audio and video of James's hunt. No. But what's important is James got his first buck. Let's go take a look.
So just killed my first buck and got an 8-pointer. So I'm pretty happy. It's a decent buck, but it was my first buck, so I'm happy.
What an unbelievable deer season for our family on the home farm, my parents' farm. Jack and James both killed their first bucks. Heck, when I was their age, it was about the time that we only saw our first deer on the farm, and about a year or 2 later, Dad killed the first buck out here. Now, almost 40 years later, he's killed out here once again. Kevin has killed some nice bucks over the years, but this was his first good buck on the home farm. And then I was able to take a buck that I had a ton of history with and one of my best bucks on the home farm, second only to Gimp in 2014. 5 bucks off the family farm by 3 generations of Dirnbergers on 2 branches of the family tree. It really was a record year.